The 2017 NHL Entry Draft. The elusive, fantastic, and most popular draft for some of these NHL fan bases. Now, what stands out to most people when they see this year's draft is a selection of guys taken near the top. In the 5th overall spot, you have the quote-unquote best player on the Vancouver Canucks, Elias Pettersson, taken 5th overall, a franchise-defining talent, a 364-point guy in 358 games played. One pick earlier, you have yourselves the Colorado Avalanche taking Cale Makar. 283 points, 265 games played. He is also a beast, also a franchise player, and he is so gosh darn good, one of the best defensemen of this entire generation. 3rd overall, you've got Miro Heiskanen, taken by the Dallas Stars, who is also a phenomenal young defenseman. 1st overall, Nico Hischier is a beast with the Devils, but you may remember, heading into the 2016-2017 NHL Draft year, none of these guys, Hischier, Heiskanen, Makar, were supposed to be taken first. That honor belonged to the inevitable 2nd overall pick, Nolan Patrick, a guy who played for the Philadelphia Flyers, who was drafted by them, and who had struggled through so many setbacks that his story is ultimately one of tragedy. It started out in a very good spot. Heading into 2016-17, people saw Nolan Patrick post up 102 points in the WHL as an underage player. He was dominant. He was so good, and heading into the year, everybody said this guy was going to be 1st overall. This is the scouting report for Nolan Patrick back in 2017, a highly skilled and all-around player. Patrick has few, if any, holes in his game and stands out in many aspects. His hockey sense and competitiveness is top-notch. At the same time, he has above-average skating, shooting, and puck skills. Furthermore, Patrick is a reliable two-way player and will do an excellent job on the penalty kill. He is a very capable scorer and passer. He has a complete offensive game, showing the ability to both finish plays and create chances for his line mates, and he has great wheels and is able to surprise with his speed. His hands and ability to protect the puck, they're all high-end. Nolan Patrick was supposed to be a beast, and we had this idea floating around in 2016-17 that he could be a potential franchise guy. I mean, we had just seen Austin Matthews go 1st overall the prior year. Rasmus Dahlin was going to go 1st overall the next year, so Nolan Patrick getting tossed into the middle of that, there were a lot of expectations for this guy, and rightfully so. He was so good. But in his draft season, he only played 33 games. He was sidelined with injuries. Later on, after getting taken by the Flyers and playing with them, he had a 0-game season, where he was again sidelined with injuries. Eventually, he got traded over to Vegas, and in 22-23, he was sidelined with injuries once again. 0 games played for Nolan Patrick. Even though this was a guy who had a boatload of talent, he was slowed down time and time again by the unfortunate circumstances that the hockey gods bestowed upon him. And now, as of yesterday, we had ourselves the news that he is officially retired from the NHL after 4 seasons. Nolan Patrick, 25 years old, drafted 2nd overall in 2017 by the Flyers, has only played 4 seasons in his NHL career, battling serious concussion issues. That caused him to never be able to reach his full potential. In 222 games, he had 32 goals, 45 assists, and 77 points in his career. Best wishes to Nolan Patrick in his future endeavors, who is already taking on a role as a skills specialist, video coach, and mentor. And this, as we had said, is a story of tragedy and not celebration, because while there was a very promising profile for Nolan Patrick back in the 2017 days, 5-6 years ago, we thought this guy could have been a perennial number 1 center with a two-way edge, maybe an 80 to 90 point guy who could play in your penalty kill. Think in the same vein as a Jonathan Toews or a Kopitar, but maybe a step below that. This was a guy that was supposed to be top-notch. And the unfortunate fate for the Philadelphia Flyers is that they ended up taking a guy who was slowed down so much by things out of his control that you have players taken immediately after, like Miro Heiskanen, Cale Makar, and Elias Pettersson, that you could very well debate could have made a much better impact on this Philadelphia Flyers squad had they been selected instead. Now, you cannot go out there and say that, oh, if you took a time machine back to 2017, the Flyers would have made the better pick and they would have chosen a Pettersson or something if they wanted a center. No, it's not like that. Hindsight is always 20/20. But back in 2017, Nolan Patrick was the consensus first overall pick by many outlets. Even if you scroll down here, ranked number 1 by McKeen's, 1 by Future Considerations, number 2 by Bob McKenzie. This was supposed to be the first overall guy. But he ended up going second because the Devils liked Nico a little bit more. Now, we know Nico Hischier is doing his thing with the New Jersey Devils. He's playing with Jack Hughes. They're two fantastic centers. He's under a point per game. He's missed some time, but he's all right. He had 80 points last year. Nico is a beast as a captain for New Jersey. But for Nolan Patrick to ultimately be the guy who slipped underneath, despite being ranked first overall for the entire 2 years heading into the draft, there is a little bit of a sting. But now, the sting is even stronger, because you have to acknowledge that a lot of what this guy went through was totally out of his control. Concussion issues that kept on bringing themselves up, and as a result, the guy just did not play good hockey. He wasn't scoring points, he wasn't doing the things that made him an effective player in the WHL, he wasn't doing things that scouts were talking about, which is why he was such a good player in the first place. He never was able to translate the junior dominance that he had into higher levels of play. You could debate that part of that is due to his own talent, but a good chunk of that is also due to the injuries. This guy was just slowed down so much, and it's not his fault. So, for Nolan Patrick, this is indeed a really unfortunate situation. You cannot help but feel bad for the guy. Even a whole bunch of replies here go out there and say, yeah, like, I feel for Nolan Patrick. Too bad McKinnon ended his career and got no repercussions for the dirty hit. Yeah, there you go. People are talking about the hit in which gave him the other concussion. But there is a positive silver lining to this entire thing, I guess. There was an Instagram post made on the Power Play Hockey. What I'm going to do is move the screen over just so it's a little bit more centered. There you go. This is a hockey coaching and mentorship program that is just started up. It's got 127 followers on Instagram. And the interesting thing is, if you want to meet the team, you want to see who is going to be involved in this entire project, hey, take a look at this. Some of the guys that are involved in this project include Jace Howerluck, former Vancouver Canucks, the founder and head mentor, current pro, multiple seasons in the NHL with the Panthers, the Canucks, and the Sens. He's a WHL champion, 32nd overall to the Florida Panthers, currently playing in Czechia. I had no idea Howerluck was in Czechia. Damn. He's got experience in the SHL and multiple seasons in the AHL. Nolan Patrick is also a part of this organization as a skills specialist, video coach, and mentor. He's a retired pro with significant NHL experience, second overall NHL pick with the Philadelphia Flyers and Golden Knights, and he was the WHL Rookie of the Year, playoff MVP, and champion. So, already, Nolan Patrick has found himself work, or at least a role, outside of the NHL gameplay world, but still within the hockey world. Good on him for teaming up with his buddies Riley Lindgren, Ian McCoshen, Jace Howerluck. It's a pretty interesting crew, and an interesting idea that they've got going on here with Power Play Hockey. So, Nolan Patrick is done with NHL gameplay. This is the worst type of way to see somebody go out, not on his own terms, because he just cannot suit up and play anymore. I will say that at the very least, the guy made a bunch of money. Never a significant amount, like never too much. Oodles and oodles of millions of AAVs or whatever, but he was there, he had his money, he had his payday, he was able to make some bank doing what he loved. It's just very unfortunate that the magnitude as to what we thought he could become was never fulfilled. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Nolan Patrick and the way his career has gone, how he is officially retired from the NHL. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.